Hello and welcome to another episode of Her Story Hour. Today I actually just want to talk about loneliness. Now before you click off, it's not actually all doom and gloom because there is like a happy ending, a quotation which you can't see. There's a happy ending to it or like a lesson from it, which is the whole purpose of me doing this, right? But have you not seen everywhere I look on my TikTok, everyone's talking about how they're lonely, they don't have any friends, there's no connections anymore. And before I get into my story, I just want to say I think a major part of that is online. I've said it before, social media and internet makes it so easy for us to just not have to have face-to-face contact with people. We can do anything. I don't know, not even just social media. Now you can go to the supermarket and just go to the self-checkout. You don't need contact with anyone else. You can actually live your life day to day without having to talk to anyone. Robots control everything. We just won't get too deep into it, but loneliness is a real thing. And sometimes I would find myself going out of the house to just try and connect with someone, and actually I wouldn't even talk to anyone because I don't need to. I'd go to the shop because that's the only place I can think of going, and then like I say, go to self-service, just pick up the things I need. I don't actually need to engage with anyone else, which is good if you're scared of talking to other people, but at the same time it's kind of not, because it's making the problem worse, because you just should face your fears head on, really, I think. But yeah, it's good and bad. If you're one of those people who really can't talk to anyone, yeah, it can be great. But yeah, so I've just gone off tangent a little bit. Of course, that's what I love to do. Is my door locked? I don't know why I'm near my house, and it feels pretty safe around here, but I feel like I really have to lock the doors because, I don't know, every time I get in my car I just have this thing. If I haven't locked the door, that's it, I've got to check the back seat because someone's going to come in and kill me, you know what I mean? You can't be too cautious these days. I think it's good of me. Well done me. So what I wanted to do is just start back and tell a bit of my story of loneliness. This is so funny because it's low-key embarrassing, because it's not a nice thing to have to admit that you're lonely, but actually you shouldn't be ashamed of it. I think, to be fair, like I said, most people are lonely these days, and if even if they have some sort of connection with other people, it's not to that level where they feel, I don't know, I can be in a room full of people, or I can have certain friends which I will say a certain amount to, but they don't know me on a deep level, and that's where I would say I feel lonely, when I don't have that big, deep connection with someone. So just starting back, just to so you all are aware, I'm an only child, so I've always been on my own, and I've never really, as much as my parents were always there and supportive in ways, I've never had the person or a person to have that deep level of conversation with or deep level of trust with. So I've always been on my own and I've always survived, but I've always felt like I needed someone else. So it partly started with me dating people, and I thought that they were my person, so then no longer I was lonely. But then it turns out that I was actually leaning on them too much, because I was expecting them to show up for me and be the person for me, and it was probably quite draining for them. For some of them probably quite enjoyed it because they were in a worse position than me, shall we say. But then it got to my relationship, the one that ended last year. I say last year, sorry, it's almost 2 years ago now because it's 2023. They ended, and that was my 5-year relationship. We'll just have to call it that from now on. My 5-year relationship, which was a big learning curve for me, because this person had a really good, stable, in my opinion, stable family, stable upbringing, and they had a lot of family members. So they were never lonely, and they always had people around them, and it's so weird to say that they were never lonely because they had this family, but that meant they were so great at being on their own and being so independent, whereas I was not. I was craving for that attention and people around me, but at the same time, because I wasn't used to it, I felt like I wasn't good in social situations and being around people, so then that led me to feel even more lonely and isolated. It was a weird situation, and I hope that those of you that feel like that can relate. You crave this attention and people around you, but at the same time, when you are around people, you just want to get out and not be around them because it just feels uncomfortable, because you're not used to that and not used to being around people. And very quickly, even if I'm around people that I like I can be excited and happy about it, but then it will come to a point where my social battery is actually drained and I feel like I just want to go home now. I need to stop communicating with people. And I think, again, that's very normal. Just don't push yourself to the limits, But anyways, the lesson that I learned from this big 5-year relationship was, because towards the end, we kind of distanced from each other a little bit, and I really learned how to build my life for myself, because seeing the way he was and then having to be on my own with no choice pretty much led me to become strong in myself. So I developed hobbies that I enjoyed and did for myself, and I just enjoyed my own company pretty much, but at the same time it was not from a place of choice. I didn't choose to do that. just realised that I didn't really have a choice because he wasn't around really, and I didn't really have anyone else. And I guess I did. In that situation, I had my friends that I was meeting up with and going out with, and I also went out to a workplace, and that actually really helped as well, because when I didn't have him, I could then fall back on my work colleagues. So I'd be there all day talking to them and people who come into the place where I work, and obviously then my friends. So I felt like I wasn't actually lonely, and also I lived with his family, so I had his family around as well, so I wasn't lonely. But in the times when I was on my own, I had those things to do myself. And then it comes to us like breaking up, and then obviously I've lost his family, I've lost him, so that's a big loss. So I'm starting to feel a bit like on my own. At first I didn't really realise. Then I moved in with my friend, and she's my best friend and I love her, but it was just different when we moved in, because whereas before we'd have to make a conscious effort, go out, do something to like be together and hang out. We don't have to do that now. We can just hang out at home. And yeah, and then I realised as well, a lot of my friends were my ex's friends. So that was, again, like I'm saying, it's like a big loss of friendships. And the people that I were friends with that were my friends had like families and stuff like that. Where I had this more free time, I was noticing it more, that like they weren't around as much, which is not a problem, but yeah. And then I also, when I moved into this flat, or just before I moved into this flat with my friend, I changed jobs, so I was doing a work from home role, which meant that, yeah, I didn't have that interaction with colleagues. I was literally working on my laptop, and the only people I would talk to would be on the phone. I wouldn't have face-to-face contact with anyone. Therefore, that led me to the loneliest year of my life. 2024, I was so lonely. The thing that made it worse was, say from like January, let's just say January to February, I really, really thought that, and actually, do you know what, even before January, end of 2023, like December and November time, I thought, like, you really need to find someone now, you need to settle down, you're getting towards the end of your 20s, like, you need to find someone. And this was out of a place of loneliness and wanting to be around someone, and not knowing how it was to be on my own, because I'd just come from a year, or a few years, which were jam-packed with, like, colleagues, events, friends, me doing things. Like, I didn't ever have the time to, like, stop and think for myself, I don't think. I was constantly doing stuff, and so much stuff happened in those years. Yeah, I went from that to just being on my own, and then I thought, okay, like, I've really got to find someone now. I've really got to find someone to, I don't know, fix myself. I didn't know who I was, and although I'd found those hobbies and things I enjoyed doing, like I said, it was out of a place of force, and like I had to, so those hobbies were sort of dropped, because it was like going to the gym and things like that. I didn't want to do that anymore. I wasn't in the mind frame. I wasn't wanting to do that. I should have continued. I probably could have been in a better position, but I didn't. And then I was trying to chase these people and like date them, and then that was pushing it away further, because I think I was dating for the wrong reasons. I wasn't dating for the right reasons. I was just dating because I felt I needed someone, like I said, just 100 times. I think they get the point now, Chelsea. And then it comes to like February time, and I found this, we'll go more into this in the dating episode, but I found this guy. We were dating from like February to October time this year, and being with him made me feel even more lonely, because he was at a distance to me. He was far away, and we couldn't always see each other. He wasn't always available to talk, etc, etc. Like I said, we'll go into it more, but that made me feel even more lonely. And towards the end of that, so say around August time, I think, around August time, my depression and loneliness hit like a real low. Like, my loneliness made me feel depressed. There was a lot of different factors that made me feel depressed, stressed, on my own, isolated. And yeah, I hit a real rock bottom. Like, I thought, what is actually the point? And I would like cry myself to sleep. This is so embarrassing to admit, but I just want to let you know that you're not alone if this is what you're going through. I cry myself to sleep, and I think, why does no one care about me? Why do I not have that person? Why? Like, I don't know, I just had so many questions, and I was so annoyed and angry at the world. I was upset for past decisions that I'd made, like where maybe I've like dropped friends, moved people out of my life. Hey, now I look back and I realise, like, all those people, they left my life for a reason. They weren't serving a purpose, or they were bringing me down, and I can look back and I can reflect now and say that I would rather be on my own than surrounded by someone that does not bring me happiness and does not make me feel good about myself. And that's what we need to remember. Like, these people shouldn't just be taking up place just to fill a gap of time. Like, screw that. I'd rather be on my own. Honestly, I really would rather be on my own. And this feeling where I got to, where I was really low, like, I think I'm so grateful now that I felt that, because if I didn't feel that, I actually would have never found myself. Like, I feel like I found myself so hard. I don't know what the word is. I found myself so well. I don't know. I found myself in this year because I had to bounce back from that, because there was nowhere to go from the low that I was at. And this is where the story hopefully becomes from doom and gloom to goodness and happiness. Because the thing is, like, the other day I was thinking, well, now I found myself and I found all these things. Where does it go from here? But I know that finding myself, like right now I feel like I found myself the most and I'm never going to discover anything else. But time goes on, like life learning never ends. Learning about yourself never ends. Self-improvement never ends. It just continues on and you just get better and better. So I'm excited for that. But just to go back a couple steps and tell you how I found myself, it's really hard for me to explain because unless you've been in the place where you feel like there's nothing else for me, like there's no purpose anymore, if you know what I'm saying, it's really hard to explain how to cut that step out and just do it before. But I'm going to try my best. So it sounds so like it was so simple for me probably when I say this, but I just had to find a purpose in life and find what I was here for, which again is another whole topic. Like sometimes it's really hard to figure it out, but I had to just really simplify it and say to myself, like, why are you here and what do you enjoy? And the point is, I like having fun. Having fun is my purpose in life. If I'm not having fun, I'm not doing something I enjoy, what is the point? What actually is the point? So I just started by making a list of things that I enjoy doing. I didn't enjoy them in that time because I just couldn't bother to do anything. But you know what I did is I forced myself to do some of these things because I couldn't be stuck in that negative mindset anymore. I actually just couldn't. So I started off by doing small things, like I would take myself for a walk, just a short walk, or I would read a few pages in a book. I actually think I did more than a few pages. I would read excessively because it was the only thing at the time getting me to escape from where I was, which you shouldn't always use that, like escapism, like watching TV and books and stuff. I don't think it's always a good way to get out of things, but if it's what helps you transfer from a negative mindset to a positive one, then fine. So yeah, I was reading, taking myself on walks. I started doing creative things. Like this is why I started wanting to post on my channel again, because I knew that doing something creative was helpful to me and would take my mind off of the loneliness and gave me something to focus on. Because if you've got no focus, nothing to aim towards, like your life can feel very pointless. Sorry, I've actually veered from like loneliness to like depression. It's kind of like a crossover sort of thing because like to me they go together, and like being on my own meant that I had to find things to do on my own, and I didn't want to have to rely on anyone else to get through life or think about when are they available, you know. And I said to myself as well, this is a big point that I've just almost forgetting, I said to myself, don't ever rely on anyone else to do things. Like this year, the thing that made me so sad as well was I wasn't going to festivals and things and doing things that I enjoyed because I didn't particularly have anyone to go with. And I just said to myself, like, next year, if you have someone to go with, great, go with them. But if you don't, take yourself somewhere. If you see an event you want to go to, take yourself there. And as scary as it is, like, yeah, I'm going to do it. Because I don't want to sit back and say, well, I did nothing this year because I had no one to go with. Who cares? Just go on your own. It's actually a big, scary, daunting thing, but I just thought, you know, plan little things you're going to do on your own first and then just go and do it. Because why? To me, it just seems like such a silly reason. I didn't go to this thing because I had no one to go with. Huh? It actually doesn't make sense to me. Like, why am I relying on someone else to live my life? Why? If that's the case, I'm going to do nothing with my life, you know? So yeah, I actually started I did take myself on a solo date. I went on a couple of dates. I'm trying to remember where I went. I went on a nice day out to a museum. It was great, and I thought, this way I don't actually have to engage with people and talk to people. I went on my own a couple of times, actually. And it's nice to just sit and people watch. And at first, it's like quite uncomfortable because you think, well, me anyway, I'm so in my head and I'm sitting there thinking, wow, are these people staring at me? Are they thinking this? Are they thinking that I'm a loser because I'm on my own? Even if they are, actually, who cares? Why do I care about their opinion, firstly? Secondly, most people are actually just wrapped up in their own life and what they're doing, because think about it, I'm sitting here thinking about myself and how people are perceiving me. They're probably thinking the same as well. To be honest, even if they are thinking something negative about me, what are they going to say? What are they going to come up and say to me? Nothing. First of all, they're not going to come and talk to me. Secondly, if they do, again, why do I care about their opinion? I don't. So yeah, take yourself on a solo date, and like even just doing little things. I've actually become so accustomed to doing things on my own. I'll take myself shopping on my own without an issue, and I'm on my own as well. I quite enjoyed that. That was nice. Apart from the movie was boring as hell. Joker, why did you make it into a musical? I really wanted to just get out of there, to be honest, but I thought, you know what, I need to actually stick at this because it's a solo date. If it was a movie where I was with someone else and they didn't like it, I would have just so gone from that cinema. And yeah, I really, just by like actually spending all this time on my own, having time to think, journal, reflect, find all the things that I love doing, finally think and put a purpose into my life, like, and make goals for myself. Because I was just saying in the last episode, I've made all these goals for the new year. It wasn't, like I said, it wasn't because of the fact that it was New Year that I made these goals. I made these goals because it's just the way the cookie crumbled. It's like just in times of timing, it's the way the cookie crumbled. Like it just happened to be coming up to New Year to be the time when I was actually ready to start pursuing my goals and putting things into practice because of all I'd been through. Like it took me a while to work up to that. It was just like I said, finding the small things that I like to do, finding enjoyment in myself, like doing affirmations and things like that, starting to believe in myself, believe that I can do anything, believing that things are positive and there is a positive in life. And yeah, it's really hard to do and come out of that place, honestly, but if any of you are in that place where you feel on your own, trust me, you're going to get out of it. Just start loving. Before you can get out of that place where you feel lonely, it's not like, what I'm trying to say is this. You think that the problem solver to being lonely is to be around other people, but it's actually not. The biggest problem solver, or the way to solve that, is problem solver. Is that an answer? Is that the correct words? I don't know. The biggest way to fix it is to be so okay and comfortable just being around yourself. And now I love it. Like now it's getting to a point where it's a bit low-key dangerous because people will invite me to places and ask me to do things and I'm a bit like, I don't know if I really want to go. But in another way, I can look back and think that's so great because me last year would have been so on it because I would have just been so happy to not be on my own, to be honest. So yeah, I'm really happy. I'm really chuffed with that. And also something that I wanted to mention was something that I've not done yet, something that I'm really scared of, but I'm going to do, is I'm actually going to be trying to make some new friends. So hopefully, I'm not trying to put too much pressure on it because I don't know how I'm going to be. I don't want to make myself stress out about it. But like I said in the last episode, I'm joining a weight loss group. And hopefully through that, I can make friends and make connections. Or at least, even if they're not deep connections, I don't make great friends. At least I can have someone to like sort of say hello to. Some sort of human connection rather than me sitting in my flat on my own all the time. And for those of you that don't know, obviously, yes, I do live with my best friend, but also she has a partner, she has other friends, she has a full-time job, like she's got a busy life as well, so it's not like we're always together. We don't actually spend a lot of time together because our life schedules are quite different. So if that's why you're wondering, well, you're not on your own in the flat. I am quite a lot on my own in the flat, especially where I work from home. So yeah, it's good for me to get out and make those connections. And also I was thinking of joining a book club because I can, again, combine like two hobbies. Like I love reading, and I want to make friends, so it's a good way to make friends. So if you have any sort of hobbies or things you enjoy, try and find any sort of club related to that. They do like board game clubs. What's that? I need to think of the website that it is that I found where there's like so many groups and clubs and things like that. If I do find it, I'll try and remember to link it down below. You can meet so many people on there so easily if you are struggling with friends, or they have like Bumble for friends, or like even some of the dating apps you can just put on there that you want to make friends. But I'd say, like I say, I would encourage you first to like find the things you enjoy on your own and enjoy your own company first. And it is really painful at first, and still me, I'm still learning. I still need to get out there more and do things more on my own to become really extra comfortable with being with myself. But I'm so not stressed now when I have to be on my own is what I'm trying to say. And I'm so good as well, just to say, like, being on your own is not just about getting out of that feeling of loneliness. It's actually boosted my confidence and my trust within myself. Like I before had like quite low self-esteem, and I'm not saying it's like top of the peaks now, but what I am saying is, yeah, I don't know, I feel a lot more at peace. And yeah, I don't really know how to explain my feelings half the time, if you didn't realise, because I say I don't know a lot. But what I do know is it's been a lot. There's been a lot of days of crying, feeling alone, just sitting, staring at the wall sometimes, or sitting on my phone for hours scrolling, basically doom scrolling, especially on TikTok, and wasting time when I could have been doing something that I enjoyed that made me feel good about myself. And even if you are going to take the time out to like watch TV or scroll, fine, but then don't make it into a bad thing in your head and don't make yourself feel guilty for it, because if that's what you want to do with your time, that's what you want to do with your time. But yeah, I don't know if I've explained my story. I always think this. I always think in my head I know exactly what it is that I've been through, but it's really hard to depict and put it into words. And I didn't want to make the episode too miserable. Like I didn't want you to be thinking, that my life is all doom and gloom. That's what I was thinking. My day literally consisted of me getting up, working on my laptop at home, finishing work, having something to eat, and then I would just sit in my room or on the sofa and I would just scroll on my phone or watch something on TV. And that's very isolating. And I think a lot of us can relate, because that's the life that most people live. Like, what are people doing during the week? What are they actually doing? But just try and think of it as a positive thing sometimes if you're on your own, as like, okay, great, I've got all this free time. I can do what I want to do. So I'm going to do a puzzle, I'm going to do some painting, I'm going to do some journaling, I'm going to do some reading, I'm going to organise my plans and my goals, I'm going to edit this video, like whatever it is you want to do. Although sometimes you feel exhausted and tired, it's actually better to work on your projects in the evening, because the more you do something, the more you feel like motivated to do it and you feel comfortable doing it. I don't know how to explain, because when I first started doing things, I just felt like I can't be bothered with this, there's no point in this, and I just was dwelling on the fact that I felt lonely. I don't think I was actually lonely, to be honest. I think I was just bored and I didn't know how to deal with being on my own. Like I said this before as well, so many things are based on your mindset. So the more I thought that I was lonely, I really believed it. But the more I tell myself, you're not lonely, you just need something to do, or you're not lonely, you just have to find the things that you enjoy, or you're not lonely because guess what? Although there's no one around, it's fine to be on your own. It's fine to enjoy your own company. How are you lonely? You're a human being with feelings and emotions, and so you're not on your own. You have yourself. And I always actually used to say that, like, even though I didn't fully believe it, you know, when I came into the world, I said you could look at it from a negative perspective, but I look at it as a positive perspective. I've come into the world on my own. I didn't come into the world relying on anyone else. Maybe a parent if you have that, but I didn't come into the world relying on anyone else. And most likely when my life does end up ending, my parents are not going to be around, so I'm not going to be relying on anyone else to be there when I'm not around either. So the point is, I come into the world alone and I leave the world alone. You don't do that with someone else. And it's kind of comforting in a way, because it's like, if I've come into the world and left the world alone, while I'm in the world, do I have to rely on anyone else? No, you shouldn't rely on anyone else. And when you get to that point, you realise that as well, another big thing is that no one else should be, like I said, the key word here, relying. You don't rely on anyone else. If someone else is in your life, sorry, I just seen the really cute cat. If someone else is in your life, it's not that you rely upon them or you need them in your life. They're a good addition. They're a nice connection to have. They bring something to your life that you like, or that is positive for you. And if they don't, then they don't need to be in your life. You don't need them, and you don't have to have them in your life. Like, the connection is there because you want it to be. And as soon as you don't, then you don't need it to be. The moment you realise that you don't need to rely on anyone, it actually becomes easier to have connections with people, because sometimes I'd basically be forcing people to do things or expecting certain things from people, and like actually they didn't actually owe me anything and I didn't need anything from them, because guess what, I can do it on my own, or someone else will be there to do certain things without me even asking, and they'll do it just because they can, because they care about me, is what I'm realising. And now, although my circle is not big, my circle's not big by any means. I literally have, I would say, like two close friends, I would say, and then just a few acquaintances, like people that are my friends. I enjoy hanging out with them, but we're not super close, and I'm so good with that. Even if I had one close friend, I'd be so good with that, because I'd rather have people that I trust and I enjoy being around than a whole circle of people that I don't like or bring me negativity, or, you know, just are not good for me. Even if I actually had no one, although it kind of would suck in a way, because actually, would it even suck? I'm only thinking that because society tells me that you need to have friends and stuff. Would it suck? Why would I want to be around someone that's horrible, actually, and doesn't bring anything to my life but negativity? Don't darken my doorway, honey. Get out of here. So yeah, actually, I'd rather have no one than people that I don't enjoy being around. And that's the truth, because guess what? If I had to live my life every day how it is now, I wouldn't be upset, because I've got a more positive outlook on it. And I could just do the things I'm doing every day, my little hobbies, and just be satisfied because they're fun to me, and yeah, not really much else to say about it, to be honest. What I will say is it's trial and error and it takes time, so be patient with yourself. Just try out different things, even if you think you don't enjoy them. Just try it out if you don't know what you enjoy. So even search on Google a list of things to do. Like I've said before, reading, puzzles, journaling, creating videos, creating music, singing, dancing. Like, there's a whole host of hobbies. That's so posh of me. There's a whole host of hobbies out there that you can try. There's so many things you can do, honestly. So many things. And you might not know what it is now. Like I say, just try it. And then once you've tried it, maybe branch out and go to a club, not a weight loss club. It's not what I'm promoting from when I said that, by the way. It's just that aligns with all my other goals that I want to achieve as well. But yeah, you can try the book club, try an ice skating club, try a dancing club, try a singing club, try a board games club if that's what you enjoy. Literally anything. Or they just have random social events where you can go and talk to people. It can be daunting at first, but like, if you don't go, you never know. Even if you went there for like 5 minutes and you said it's not for me, you've crossed the line and you've gone there for 5 minutes, and maybe next time you can push yourself and you can go for 10 minutes, 1 hour. Like, you never know who's going to be there, And at the end of the day, what's actually the worst thing that's going to happen? Seriously, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? You're going to go there, you might feel bad, but no one else can see that. No one else can see that you're panicking internally. Like, it's actually okay. And you will be okay, always. But yeah, that's actually the episode. I hope that you grasp something from this, which is A, loneliness does not last forever. B, stop relying on other people because they don't owe you anything and they shouldn't be there to fill in gaps or fill in time. You don't need anyone else in your life. Rely on yourself and find happiness within yourself, because if you have yourself, you're never going to feel lonely. Okay, that's it. That's the end of the episode, and thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in next week's episode. Okay, bye. Wednesday every week. See you there.